What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer podcast. I hope you guys are doing well tonight.
Hey.
Today I'm joined with my boy Eric here.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Oh yeah, so how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's been a good day. I went to a couple of events today. I bought some records.
Yeah. How was
and
it?
Then it was good. I mean, we found some stuff I haven't seen in forever, which is cool. And then I got to see a lot of teenagers going, "What is this all about?" And whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was a gaming thing in town today.
Heck yeah, how was that?
It was good. It was good. Like, I didn't get to stay as long as you did, but there was a celebrity speaker there. Did you see him?
Absolutely. Steve Wozniak? Yeah.
Steve Wozniak, the Woz.
Heck yeah, it was a pretty good, it was like a podcast type thing that they were doing there.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. He got to tell us some of those stories and stuff like that about,
About growing up, getting chest hair.
kind of. But
you never did that.
It was more of like the pranks that they pulled in like college and stuff like that, and how the movie got it wrong that Steve Jobs didn't pull him down to that cellar, that he brought him down there because it was his plays, shit like that. So
no, he's a brilliant man. Brilliant man.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I can't even fathom that he was around and created the first gaming systems.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. Like, he created all the programming to make everything you've ever seen. Atari, all that other jazz.
He talked about his first homemade computer that he has made it from like parts around his house and stuff like that. I was like, dude, this dude's he's on a whole different level. Like, people think we're smart building like these computers and stuff like that, but it was like, no, you can go on a website and they'll build it for you. So.
Yeah, he's like, I'm pretty sure my toaster can do math. And then he makes his toaster do math. It's not good. And also great.
Because he was like converting his old TV into it and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, this is
goofy. So goofy. Tell me what you did today that was great.
Just that. I went over there, seeing you guys for a little bit. Ate a hot dog, so that was fun.
I saw that. And then we stood in front of the water fountain. Yeah, no one likes that.
Got somebody's way. But pretty much just grocery shopping, hanging out with Benji and stuff like that. So then I grilled. So.
Smart dude, that little Benji.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he was drawing circles and triangles and then a zigzaggy. And he was like, "You do this." And I was like, "All right." And he goes, "No." And he erases it. I'm like, "All right. I don't know. You do it and then I'll do it." And then he did it. And then I did it. And then he went, No.
Redo that.
No. Yeah. He's going to be a teacher.
Might be pissing off some kids when he's older. So.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right.
It is what it is, I suppose. So.
Yeah, man.
And you said you were going to go to like a reggae concert here tonight?
Tonight, yeah. There's a reggae concert in Bemidji, a reggae band out of the cities. They're coming in. So, I'm going to go down, check it out. There's some, dreadlocked, pot-smoking dudes out there that are probably, they're probably pretty good at what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't travel, I'd imagine. And one day, Cloud Slayer 53 will be traveling to your area because he's good at what he does.
That and I need a new corner to hang around, I guess. But
that's true. Still makes good money, but it's just not enough.
Not enough.
Just not enough.
It's also like it fits into like what Steve was saying earlier too. Like he was talking about finding your passion and stuff like that. Like it's not going to be work and shit like that. And that's everybody dreams of that, right? But how many attain it actually?
Well, that's the hard part. It's the old. If you find something you love to do, you'll never work a day.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, and we all strive for that. I don't know, man.
Building that, taking that process to build it and stuff like that, I suppose. But
well, if we really break it down, is what we love to do work? Obviously not. But I mean, I think too many of us spend way too much time away from family. We don't think about the little things that we miss, birthdays, little parties, basketball game that might mean the world to your kid.
Absolutely.
And we don't think about that. And so I think that when we look at happiness, we have to look at the fact that what we do isn't who we are. It's what we do for other people that makes us us. right?
Absolutely, and being a part of their lives and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, and I have to say, this man, probably one of the greatest dads I've ever seen. So
try to be anyways, you know.
No, you do great. You do great. Benji's well adjusted. He runs around. He does his thing. He's not afraid of anything, but he still knows his boundaries, and I think that's important.
Somewhat.
Parents, if you're like, just go play in the road, it's cool. Don't do that. Explain to them that there are cars out there and people that don't care. I don't know.
Yeah, or they don't see, or they're impaired or something, you know? Like, there's people that are shit-faced in the middle of the day, so... Whether it be prescription drugs or it's freaking alcohol or something, you know?
I used to do drugs.
Yeah. What kind of drugs?
Still do.
Yeah.
But I used to, too.
What kind of drugs were you into?
Well, the heaviest one was coke.
Yeah.
I didn't do it a lot. I mean, it was a drug that if I showed up and there was something there, I did it. But I mean, outside of that, it was marijuana. And I don't know.
When was drugs introduced into your life?
I remember my stepdad had a collection of pipes. Collection of pipes above his fireplace. And I remember my little brother Chad and I lost Chad in an accident last year. But my little brother and I, we went up and we grabbed a pipe and we're like, we're going to smoke tobacco out of these pipes because, you know, Sherlock Holmes and whatever.
Right.
And so we grabbed this pipe and we light it up. And I remember the smell was wrong. And, you know, maybe we didn't inhale. I don't remember. But at the same time, we're just like, this is not right. This doesn't smell as good as the tobacco he smokes. So we smoked some. But we both got a little weird. Like, just kind of, and he came home and the house kind of smelled. And you could tell he never said anything, but he was like looking around. You guys okay? You guys good? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. We didn't do nothing wrong. We didn't steal.
No, wait, what?
Right.
No, nothing like that. The biggest drug that really wrecked my life was alcohol. That was the worst one. Was that
something that began at home, or was that something like college or something like that?
You know, started when I was pretty young. I mean, high school, small town, parties, you know, did that. Grew up, went to college. Binge drinking was an acceptable pastime. As an adult, bought a bar. That was the biggest downfall because I don't know if you know this, but bars have a lot of booze in them.
Right.
And so, so it was like, this is easy, you know. Not gonna lie, I peed my pants a few times, you know. I couldn't figure out how to unlock my door to get into my apartment. Slept in the hallway. Booze is a formidable drug. It's a lot harder to quit than a lot of people give it credit.
Do you think it was worse? Was it more impactful for you than it was like cocaine and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. Cocaine was, you know, just there when it was there. Weird high, do this thing, whatever. Never got addicted. Marijuana, it has its benefits. It really does. I mean, calms the mind, relaxes you, makes you feel like maybe you can take the day when you're feeling stressed, whatever.
Absolutely.
Alcohol is just a downer. 100% straight up. Drink it, you don't feel good.
Yeah. Like, you know? But when you first start doing it, though, sometimes you feel invincible, especially when you're like a younger person, you know.
Yeah, that's why my nose is crooked.
You got beat up?
Yeah, a few times.
Oh, man.
A few times, yeah. Well, you know, when you're drunk, you think you're cool. You know, the first time I got beat up at a party, not my fault though. I think I told you this once.
The tire was.
Yeah. So I'm at a party in the opposing school's area. And there were a ton of people. And I remember standing by the fire, and all of a sudden I got blindsided tackled. And at first I thought it was kind of a joke. I thought somebody, whatever. And I remember getting knocked to the ground, and it hurt. But I was expecting to look up and see a friend, you know, or an ally or something. And I remember looking up and seeing this guy who like knelt on my arms. So his knees are on both my shoulders, and he just started laying the work. Just pop, 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 pop. And I remember just taking every punch, feeling every punch, even though I was drunk. And he basically beat me until he got tired. Mm-hmm. And then got up, and I was a mess. I got up, I rolled over, I'm bleeding profusely, a cut on my head, nose bleeding, mouth, you name it. I don't know. I didn't check my ears, but right. I remember these people bringing me over to a pickup truck because it was North Dakota, and they propped me up on the tailgate, and so I'm kind of hanging there like this, and I remember looking down. Here's the surreal moment. I remember looking down, and this pool of blood kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just kept staring at it as it was just kind of running off my face. And then all of a sudden I heard, "Hey!" What? And I look up, and it's this dude, and it was like, I flinched automatically, like, what's going on? Like, he's coming back for seconds, and I'm not ready for this. And he goes, "Hey, I thought you were the guy that let the air out of my tire. I guess you didn't. Sorry." Well, you didn't even say sorry. You just said, "I guess you didn't." And I don't even know if he knocked. But I remember sitting there thinking, really? Like, I hate you. I hate people that just do shit. And that's what alcohol does, right? Impairs your judgment, doesn't allow you to make cognitive thought, and then you make mistakes, huge mistakes, right? Now, let's say it would have went a little bit further, and he would have beat me to death.
Right.
My life would have ended. His life would have been ruined, right?
As well, going to prison or something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he didn't even show really any remorse, like you said, neither. So.
Well, as a person who, drank, I mean, I get it. I get it. He wasn't there. He wasn't cognitive. He did his thing. All right. So the side commentary is my good friend Benji. I don't know if any of you know Benji, but he is an amazing child. Benji?
What?
Yeah?
I found you, Dad.
What's up, son? Aren't you supposed to be out there playing?
No, my dad.
Do you mind if we bring him in for a second?
Right. So when did you find out you had like a problem with that stuff too? Was it like during the bar times and stuff?
No, I always knew that I had a problem, but no one ever addressed it. And then one night, I had my son, and I had a really bad night. I went out to my car. He was doing his own thing, watching TV, and I drank until I passed out. Keegan came out, tried to wake me up, couldn't wake me up, so we called his mom, and she came, she got him, and next thing I know, I had a sheriff's deputy knocking on the car door. I didn't have my keys, so I didn't get a DUI. But I ended up at Sanford, and I think I blew like a 2.9.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was it. And I ruined the trust of my ex-wife, and I ruined the trust of my son, who still brings it up. He still gets worried every time I'm sleepy. He worries about me not being able to wake up. So.
Right. I can only imagine.
That was probably one of the worst days of my life. And then I didn't get to see my kid for a while. So, but now I see him all the time.
You don't really drink anymore?
Nope.
So, when was the last time you touched alcohol then?
Last time? To be honest, it was like 2 weeks ago I had a beer.
Well, I mean, at least you're not like in poop face to it.
It was at that wedding, and I remember I took the beer and I carried it around with me for, I don't know, probably 2 hours. Carried it around, and then it was warm. I took like a drink, and I'm like, this isn't good. So I ended up drinking whatever punch they had there.
Okay.
Smoked some weed though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have found. And sorry, ex-wives, if you see this and this is a bad thing for you, I have found that no matter what the medication that a doctor has put me on to keep me calm and relaxed and whatever, the marijuana is within minutes. And it's euphoric. It's not I don't drive. I don't do anything, but it's not impairing my judgment like alcohol would. Right?
So you do it mostly in the form of smoking, like the flower, or do you like do edibles?
Well, we do a little bit of both. I love the flower.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pure. It's it's natural. Gummies, who knows? Pens, who knows? But at the same time, pens and gummies are they're pretty solid.
Depends what kind of like pens you get too. Like if you get some of that like the live resin, then it doesn't have anything mixed into it, which is good. But
and you got to be careful with like the vitamin E. I understand.
Yeah, that's from like the distillates and stuff like that because it's supposed to amplify the THC in there and also make it easier to burn on that those crappy coils on there and stuff like that.
Well, I got to tell you, whatever is burning in that thing, it's working. We're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Right. It's better. Well, you kind of got to watch out for like the flower too, like especially if it's like illegal stuff because what was that? A couple years ago they had it cut from fentanyl and that killed a couple people out towards Cass Lake there. I heard.
Fentanyl's such a monster.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've never done, and I don't know many people who have. I know one person.
Unless if it's controlled for like pregnancies or something. You know? Like,
but I mean, collectively, if you're doing it outside, anything outside of the medical purpose is not measured. Right?
Not at all.
They're going to bring things in. It's going to be probably way more than whatever you need to be whatever you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's killing people left and right.
Heck yeah.
Narcan's becoming, something everyone's carrying, not just police officers, but you can buy that now as a citizen and carry it around with you.
Just because you never know if somebody is on that stuff. Or
it's not even someone you know. I mean, being a good individual, if I saw someone dying in a parking lot, I might Narcan them. If I might Narcan someone and find out they were just trying to take a nap. That would suck. In a park or something. Come here. Sorry. I didn't know.
My bad, buddy.
I Narcan 4 people on the beach today. It was a great day.
Better than Narcan them, I guess.
You're right. You're right.
So when you did do those drugs, was alcohol always involved, or was
it? Most of the time.
Yeah, I always found that for myself too.
Yeah, it was. Poor judgment begets poor judgment, right? So you're already in a state where you're making bad decisions, and then someone's like, "Hey, what was Dewey Cox?
Yeah,
you don't want any of this, Dewey. Yeah. What is it? It's marijuana. Why don't I want it? Because you smoke it, it gets you high. Oh, that doesn't sound bad. Yeah, is there a hangover? No, there's no hangover. One of those things. And so you just make bad decisions. So you drink, you poorly decide to do something else, and then from there, it just snowballs, right?
Yeah, especially if you see like buddies doing it too, and you're like, that dude's a good dude,
Well, you trust the people you're with, right? For the most part. And you can't blame anyone around you for making you do something. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, it's always your choice. I mean, you're not at gunpoint. If you're not at gunpoint, you don't do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, how many times is somebody being held up at gunpoint telling they do some drugs?
Sniff the code.
Sniff the code?
Yeah, I don't know. I always did it because I thought, I'm going to be the life of the party. I got to be accepted. I got to be the cool guy. I got to be, you know what? I'm 46 years old. Yeah. People, I'm 46 years old. I can give two shits anymore. If somebody says, if you don't do this, you're not cool. I'm not cool. All right, cool. We figured that out. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at, man. The worst part about the whole thing is that we don't get that type of attitude, I think, until we get to a point in our lives where we're old enough to where we either know our own worth or feel worthless.
Yeah.
It's scary.
When you fail so many times,
Yeah.
You're like, I don't even give a shit. This ain't even that bad.
Give it to me. Yeah. Last week I took a dump in my own hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're good. I still have the hat on. I mean,
but with those kind of changes, whether it's positive or negative, a mindset has to change as well. So for you to make these positive influences, like what helped you towards that, and what kind of mindset did you carry towards that?
Fear for me, fear of losing the only things that meant anything to me. You know, my kids, my job at that point in time. My marriage, I lost 2 marriages to alcohol abuse. I did. And I regret both of them. Both those ladies are very, very strong, very, very compassionate, very wonderful ladies. Yeah. And they've been lucky. They went out, they found men that are completely opposite of me. They're very, 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 very clean, very, very strong-willed, very good people, you know.
Hairy knuckles.
Hairy knuckles. But the bottom line is that I look at them and I go, you know, always right off the bat you have your scruples, right? But they raise my children well. They're teaching them right. They're not teaching them to be against me. They're being very supportive. They are good, very good secondary dads. And I'll say this for people that listen to your podcast. I mean, we can spend our whole lives being mad at someone, and we can make it very difficult for them to do the things they need to do to go through life, right? I mean, with constant phone calls, court, whatever you're going to do. You're going to call the cops, you're going to do whatever. But ultimately, you need to be a partner. The bottom line is that when you guys chose, or maybe didn't choose, to have a baby, but at the very same time, you at the very least really liked each other, and you created something so wonderful. After the fact, even if you break up, that doesn't negate that you created something, and you both have to make it right. You have to make it right? So get along, you know.
Why? Yeah, don't bash and get the kids involved in that. You know, they deserve better, and you see that far too often. I see it far too often. And you know, like you said, you're lucky that your exes were better than that. You know.
Well, I wasn't better than that right off the bat, and I'll say that right away. It took me a while to see, especially after my first divorce. I was like, oh, this guy's gonna come in and he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that.
Better not touch my kid.
Right. And then I'm like, wow, like this guy knows what he's doing, and wow, my ex-wife is happy. I never saw her smile that much during our marriage. Second marriage, not very happy about the divorce. Totally, and loved my wife, but totally disliked this guy coming in, but didn't know him, didn't take the time to get to know him. And now what I'm finding is he is a great, he's a great influence on my child and his own. Couple of times I've met him, he's been very cordial, caring. I don't know, you know, you can't always put up a wall, right? Because if you build that wall, because you think you're keeping out the bad guy, maybe you're keeping the bad guy in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty soon you're just on an island by yourself, and you're like, I'm a dick or something, you know?
Yeah, I'm a dick.
Right.
Well, we all know that, and it's not that, I mean, in a funny way. The bottom line is, 46 years old, divorced twice, drug addict, alcohol person. I'm changing things now. I'm trying to, slowly.
Oh, yeah, you're doing a great job, buddy.
Well, I'm trying.
Yeah.
But we're all going to trip up. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do things. It doesn't mean you're done. It doesn't mean give up. You can't give up.
Don't kick those people that are doing great for you out of your life neither, you know?
No.
Tear down those freaking walls, man. You know?
Stupid walls.
We got you. I mean, like, I have a hard time with that, too, because I'm pretty well in my own thing, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no, I got to do this shit by myself. But being around like you and Maddie's helping me do that a lot, too, you know what I mean? So, like you guys were always like, oh, I love you type shit, but I was always raised not to be like that, you know? So
we're huggers. I can tell. I'm like, he doesn't like this.
Well,
I'm going to do it anyway.
I like it, but I'm just like awkward about it. You know what I mean? So,
hey, I mean, the bottom line is our job is tough. And I love our job. I really do. But what I love about our job is the people we work with. Not so much what we do. I mean, the company is good. Everything's good that way.
Yeah.
But you make your good friends at work. Well, I think I told you this. I'm like, I don't want to find another job because I don't want to make more friends. Like, I'm 46 years old. My questions to a new friend would be like, so what's your blood type?
Yeah.
Do we match kidney-wise? Because, like, I might need one of those. Like, we could be friends then, I guess.
Right.
But I mean, the bottom line is that you and Maddie and Kyle have made a huge influence in my life. I've had a lot of people make influences, but this late in my life, you're making the influence where I need it, right? Because I finally know what I need and the people I need to fulfill that.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's important to me. And we're all a little bit different, right? Which makes it really cool. We're kind of the mod squad. Like, you're the tall, quiet type. I'm kind of the out there stupid type. Yeah. And Maddie is smart, but says things every once in a while. And Kyle, he's just downright whatever, you know. And I think that's what makes us a great crew, like with the Gooligans. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's going to be a great project.
Oh, yeah. I credit you guys big time for, like, helping me start my podcast, too. Just kicking myself in the ass, you know, like, for a long time, I've just sat there and was like, what if, or, you know, I want to do this, but I'm too scared or something like that. And you guys just come in and you guys bullheaded, and I'm like, why the fuck can't I do that? Wait a minute, I can't.
You can do that, and you're doing it better than we do, by the way.
Probably more consistently, but you guys are awesome. I love you guys.
Oh, you know, the Gravy Nail was kind of a labor of love. It was great because I came in and I started working with you guys, and I'm like, these guys are smart. They, you know what, and witty. You know, I always consider myself somewhat of a wordsmith. You know, I love saying things that confuse people. I know a little bit. I know a little bit about some history and some things. Mm-hmm. And then I come in and I realize these three people know more than me. Wow, I get to be the dumb guy.
That's how I feel.
I was just like, wow, all right, cool. I'm going to take a step back. You guys do your thing. Mm-hmm. I'm just here, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's been brilliant. It really has.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of the Gooligan stuff, but as soon as it warms up and stuff like that. And trying to plan that stuff out. You were talking about that place down in Sauk Rapids, was it?
Yeah, we went to oh god, I can't even oh shoot. Sauk Rapids, Kayla's parents are from there. Mm-hmm. And they only live like 4 blocks from this hotel, which is supposedly the most haunted hotel in North America or the world. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But we went there, and I got to tell you, even if it's not haunted,
still creepy
as fuck. Like, we walked in, I brought my son, and he's like walking around, he's reading ghost stories, doing whatever. Mm-hmm. And that was awesome. Like, he was so into it. So I'm like watching him, I'm like, all right, cool, dude. And he's like, did you know that right where you were standing 5 minutes ago, a guy died? I'm like, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. Like, I know, right? Like, come on, Keegan, really?
Can you wait till we go outside, son?
Killing me. But the Porter Hotel, something like that.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, amazing place. Mm-hmm. You walk in, they have like mannequins, and it's creepy.
That'd be fun to explore.
And we will. I think this summer that's one of the places we should go.
Oh yeah, that and like I want to do some trail stuff too. That'd be pretty fun. Do some Bigfoot calls. Well, that's kind of scary, but
well, I would like that. Outside of the fact that last time we went, it was freezing.
Yeah,
it was cold as hell.
We won't have snow this time that are past our kneecaps.
I ever tell you about the Bigfoot meeting I went to?
No.
Okay, so do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I get a call from my really good friend Caleb Fricky one day, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm busy mowing the lawn, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that." And he goes, "Hey, there's a Bigfoot meeting at Lucan's." I'm like, "I'm in." Like, I totally quit doing it.
This lot.
Right. So Caleb and Fricky and we go to this meeting, and this was quite possibly one of my favorite moments. And Caleb being my best friend, he and I, we've been through a lot, and we will both still go back to this story and laugh our asses off. So we go in there, kind of expecting it to be a little weird. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what we were going to expect. So we get in there and we start. It's in a little room in Lukens, and there's all these people there. And then right away when we showed up, we realized we forgot our notebook because everyone had a notebook. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Anyway, so we sit down and we start. The guy comes out and he shows us some slides, shows us these things, and it was really interesting. And I was like, awesome. And then it got to audience participation time. You tell us your stories, right? And this is where it got good. We sat there, and we heard about a guy's dog that got thrown through his tent by a Sasquatch. We heard about a whole lot of things, but the part that really got me was there was this gentleman from out in the woods with really, really high moccasins on, middle of the summer, all like rawhide leathers, and then he had a little buddy with him, and the little buddy was like what I would say kind of a rap hype man, right? Okay. So he'd be like, so tell us a story about when you saw or experienced Sasquatch. And he was like, well, we're out in the woods, and the guy in the back goes, out in the woods. Right. And we were like, what? And so anyway, it just keeps progressing. He's like, and then we picked up a stick and we hit it against a tree 3 times. And the guy goes, 3 times, right? And we're like, oh, God. Oh, and he goes, and all of a sudden in the distance, we heard a knock on a tree 3 times. And the guy goes, 3 times. And so I sat there like just ridiculously, like I'm staring at him. I'm pulling back my 5 head, right? I'm doing that thing going, are you serious? It was quite possibly one of the most entertaining experiences of my life, listening to these people go through their stories. And I'm not saying they're not true, but what I am saying is...
That seems a little too coordinated.
Yeah. 3 times! I mean, that guy was... Wow. It was Cletus. 3 times!
Oh, man. And Big Brother.
It was awesome. But, I'm looking forward to doing a lot more ghost stuff this summer, too. I think it'll be a lot of fun. The 4 of us, being wordsmiths and fairly intelligent people, should be pretty entertaining. And I think we're lovable folk. So I think people will welcome us in. And
absolutely. It'll allow us to get out of like the basement or out of the house or whatever have you and stuff like that too, And
my mom would really like me to get out of the basement. She's so angry that I still live there. 46 years old. 3 times.
Get a job, David. Get off that call of duty. Oh, man.
But, no, at 46, you just get called to duty in the bathroom. Gotta poop.
It's just falling right out of me.
Nope. Oh, man. So, do you mind if I use a couple of minutes here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to, I'm going to give you some compliments. Cloud Slayer 53, putting out content constantly. Great content. Look at some of the interviews he's done with some of the people. He's super upfront, super honest. The people that interview with him, super upfront, super honest. It's a real good life lesson, and it's inspirational. It really is. I mean, it gives people a lot of stuff to think about, and listen. I mean, if you can't listen, then you're probably going to get a divorce. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, you gotta dig in yourself and find the truth. You know what I mean? So, if bad things are happening, it's not always because you're bad luck. Maybe it's just you. You gotta look in yourself and see if you gotta change anything. So
changes.
Hey. Oh. But it's awesome too, because I like to hear other people's stories and life experiences and stuff like that.
Well, you just started doing some historical stuff too.
Yeah, watching some of that.
Yeah, and I love that. I absolutely love that you're reacting to some of these videos. I mean, we all know that history was written by the winners, right? And I think now that the internet is out and that people can research anything they want to, we're finding that the winners maybe didn't write it the way it went down, right?
Right. And on Facebook, I see like a lot of like spiritual leaders and stuff like that. They talk about don't do this because of that, and it's like you should be sharing that story.
Right.
Tell people.
Those who forget the past are bound to repeat it.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the things that are going on in the world today. With the Ukraine, with Russia, with things in China, and we look at our own country. We're flawed like crazy. There's some gun violence going on like mad. People are shooting people for pulling into driveways nowadays. It's stupid as shit.
No, yeah, or just beating people up over the drive-through in fucking McDonald's or something.
Right. And so we automatically argue that we still have the freedoms to do certain things. I mean, the bottom line is the world in general is kind of going to hell in a handbasket, and we need to figure out how to love our neighbor, how to love the people around us. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't care if your neighbor blew snow on your fucking driveway when it was snowing out and you got all pissed off and whatever. Bake the guy a pie. Go over, tell him you're not a bad guy. Yeah. Make sure that next time you blow snow, he's not going to blow it on your driveway.
Sometimes it could be like what's going on in their life, not necessarily that they're mad at these people sometimes, too. So, or maybe fucking Jimmy John did blow snow in there a bunch of times and he told him not to. Who knows?
Well, I just read an article that Putin, I don't remember, don't quote me on this, but you can look it up on the internet. Putin is apparently going through mental breakdowns, and he's wearing diapers. Do you think this is the right man to be in charge of a nuclear arsenal? I mean, honestly, at this point, someone needs to pull the plug on this guy. Just get him out of office.
They were saying Joe Biden was wearing diapers at a point too, though, weren't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, our politics in general, if you look at it, it's very celebrity, right? It's who you know, not what you know. Right. Mm-hmm. So you can have the greatest, most thoughtful, most intelligent person that wants to get into politics. They get into politics, they'll never win. Because the bottom line is somebody else knows more or knows more people or has more ties than they do. And so they're automatically going to get it. And even if that person gets in, here's the sad part. So if a guy like Mr. Cloud Slayer here ran for office and all of a sudden he became a senator and then he became vice president. Do you know how many demons are out there trying to pass off and say, listen, all you got to do is just vote yes on this and I'm going to give you $500,000.
There you go, buddy.
Right. And you're like, $500,000, that's going to pay for my next birthday party for my 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, the bottom line is it Clarence Thomas that just got in trouble for that? Like somebody flying him someplace? Yeah,
AOC was under trouble too for like some suit thing and whatnot. So.
Well, and who knows? I mean, the bottom line is we don't know what happened. And anyone can say anyone at this point in time. If it hits the internet, a lot of people think it's
sometimes
true.
It could just be speculation, so much misinformation. That can ruin some people's stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
So
I might be a robot, you don't even know. Like I'm not actually here.
Right. They're like, who cares if it's not true? It did its damage, so that's what we're aiming for, So
that's some scary stuff.
And that's just what politics has become too, is like trying to like devalue your opponent. And it's like, aren't we supposed to be arguing about politics and how we're going to make things better for our people?
Politics have become not just devaluing your opponent, just devaluing everyone who doesn't vote for you, right? Cancel culture. If you say this, you don't have an opinion anymore. You're against everything. You no longer have, I don't care what job you have, you're fired. Everyone in the churches, everyone in the wherever, they don't want part of you. And you go, I just had an internet opinion. And you shut me down for it, right? I think one of the biggest hot button topics right now is transgender sports.
Absolutely.
And I just had a back and forth with a really, really kind lady. And she was a really nice lady. She understood a lot of stuff. But her comment was transgender athletes should be able to compete with anyone else. And here's why. The U.S. Olympic team, women's Olympic team, was it 2017 when they won the Olympics? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
She said, but the men's team didn't win. So obviously the women's team was better than the men's team.
Was that the soccer?
Soccer, yeah.
Okay.
And and I'm like, okay. So I had to explain to her it's about the physiology, not the athleticism. And she's like, well, not all men are great athletes. And I was like,
but they are if they're on that soccer team.
right. I'm like, I get it. But it's physiology, right? I mean, the bottom line is and this there are so many variables, right? When did the transition start to happen? Was it at a very young age? Was it when you're 40 years old? Was it when, because bone structure, bone density, muscle development, there are so many things that come into play, who was the swimmer? Was it Thompson or Thomas? In the men's league, he was 480th.
Mm-hmm. But then in women's, he was destroying everybody.
He was destroying the competition. And that's not the only place where that's become common.
Then it draws a question of if it's actually fair to have them there, Like, it's not fair for those women that were born women to compete with that. But if they were, okay with it, starting a league, but then that's also bad, like you pointed out in some conversations we had, at work.
Yeah, well, here's where the divide happens, right? Mm-hmm. Cancel culture. So you, as a full-on woman, say, hey, this person came in and destroyed my record that I only held by 20 seconds by 3.5 minutes.
So this I was thinking about this, too, when we were talking about, a league for transgenders. So what if it was, the men and women, how they transition to the other ones, but I wonder if the women who became men started being as good, and if the men that became women, how would that work?
It's a great point. It's a strange, and I think we're so early in the science, we'll never know until years later. But what I do know is that we're so early in the science right now that it doesn't make sense. You have transgender MMA people. Here's the scary people. Here's the scary thing. You have MMA boxers, MMA wrestlers. You have where it's a full-on contact sport. People can get very, very hurt, right? MMA, they had that was it from Brazil?
I believe it was Brazil, or they have some women fighters in the U.S. too that men that used to be men and became women or stuff like that.
Yeah. Too, and they are pretty intense. They're built differently. They're walking into the ring. You can tell their muscle tone's different. The way they carry themselves, they're ready for battle. And they come in and not saying the women aren't, but it's a whole nother thing. Mm-hmm. And so, when we talk about maybe a transgender league, maybe it's a temporary patch. Right?
I'll send you one. It was a backyard fighting or whatever. Mm-hmm. The dude, he has a transition. You can see he's wearing a sports bra, but he fights guys and he's kicking the shit out of them. And stuff
no shit.
Like that. Yeah, but he.
But it's a girl to a guy or a guy to a girl.
Guy to a girl, but he's still fighting guys. And I thought he fought a girl. His first 4 matches he lost, or she. I'm sorry. And then she started getting good because she started dedicating herself. And
I get that, and that's what it's all about, right? So if you have a genetic female who has spent their whole life training and perfecting their craft. Mm-hmm. Then you have a genetic male that spends his whole life doing his thing, but gets to a point in his life. And I'm not saying it's about the competition. What I'm saying is maybe they decide at that point they transition, but then they're like, I can go down to the, or up to the girls' league and hey,
do something.
And it's been proven multiple times,
right?
Where they're just beating, like the women's Olympic soccer team. Mm-hmm. They played a 15-year-old team out of Dallas, Texas, 15-year-old boys, and they got beat 5-2 in a scrimmage. 5-2.
Yeah.
And the lady that argued me on the internet said, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but if the women would have been in the men's league, it would have been no competition. She said, I agree to disagree. But then I pulled up photos of the scrimmage, and even the 15-year-old boys were a foot taller and all beefed up and starting to grow their mustache.
Yeah, when I was 15, I was as tall as I am now.
And testosterone pumped dudes like crazy. They're out in the field trying to kill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I fear I'm not. I know some transgender people, and they're great people, and I feel like they deserve every right that there is. But there's certain things that a genetic male will excel at, or a genetic female will excel at, just naturally.
Absolutely.
Right? Even with a few hormones.
Right. Well, it's just like, to me, it kind of falls under the category of like steroid. You know what I mean?
I brought that point up too.
Yeah. So it's like, oof.
So if you took a woman's sport, and some woman came into the woman's sport and was using steroids, and they caught her, what would they do?
Ban her.
They would ban her from the sport.
Or would they get like a 1 year kick out of the league, and they got to test positive or clean for whatever,
So it's an interesting thought.
Excuse me.
It's an interesting argument, but unfortunately, most people can't argue it because of cancel culture.
Yeah.
If you argue it, you'll get fired.
You're a bigot. You're a racist. You're whatever.
And it's sad because I think it's an argument worth having. And I think that people debating things, like I would love to hear someone who's pro trans athletes, vice versa, men or women, in the opposite sport.
And what their point of view is on that.
Yeah, because I don't know all the details, and maybe they know details I don't. I'm willing to hear you.
Right.
But just know I'm going to argue back. And if I argue back, don't stop me. Don't call my boss on Monday and tell him, like I'm whatever. That's ridiculous. That's something people do that can't argue very well.
Right.
We're just going to destroy you.
Have a fair discussion and valid points to bring to the table, not just, fuck you.
Oh, right. I mean, like past kings of different countries, they'd be like, how do you feel about this? They'd say, well, I don't know.
Off with your head.
Done, right? Right. Well, then guess what? I was right. Right? How do you feel? Nah, we're good. Right?
Do you feel all right? All right, we're good.
Right. Yeah, well, eventually people are just like, okay, yeah, I think that's wonderful. You should eat your own poop. I love my own poop. Right?
I did have chicken this morning.
But I mean, that's the direction we're going, where we've started to make people move in a direction they don't typically want to move. Right? It's sad.
It is.
It's not great.
But, for those people that are like fighting for those rights too, it seems like, because they're like, oh no, it's the world against us, and they grew up, they might have seen like some relatives fight for stuff, because I seen like my grandpa Belcourt and stuff like that. He was always advocating for like Native American rights, which is good, because at one point, we didn't really have those rights, right?
No.
And if these people never stood up for those things, then we might not have had it. But maybe that's how they look at it. You know what I mean? So yeah. I kind of see it. But like you said, have a civil discussion about it. Don't go and try to go after somebody's job or various things like that. So.
Martin Luther King was all about peaceful protests. He didn't want to go out there and throw Molotov cocktails and do this thing. But unfortunately, I think we've gotten to a point in our society where that's what gets listened to, right? We're going to make a decision about this man that shot this man in court because we're worried about the outcome afterwards in the streets, right? So if we call him innocent, if we call him guilty, that could have an effect on everybody's lives after the fact, right?
Let's give this thing publicity and not this thing that's happening.
I grew up a poor little white kid, I mean, honestly, at a very early age, I didn't really understand much about things. But as I got older, it was great because certain things about privilege came up. And do I think that white people are privileged? Yes. Yes, I do.
Not all white people, though. Well, don't seem like it.
In certain aspects of their lives. If I, as a white person, walk up to a door that I accidentally drove down the wrong driveway and knocked on another white person's door, what's my likelihood of getting shot compared to someone else maybe knocking on that door, right? There's a certain... When we say privilege, we think about the actual privilege of things, right? And I think that being alive is a privilege, right? So just the simple fact that certain things I do, I will survive based on my color, that's privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to go to, I got this job or I got this. Being alive is a privilege.
Right. Absolutely. But I don't know. Like, I didn't see any of that because, I don't know, where I grew up, it was a little different, I guess. It was down in the cities, but I didn't really see a divide until I was like in middle school, close to high school, you know, where they were like starting to click up. You know, African Americans and Asians click up, and you know, white people click up type stuff. You know, and stuff like that. But the white kids were always like, you know, because the school was predominantly African American, so they were the aggressors, based purely because they were the majority.
Numbers.
So whenever you're the majority, you're going to be your aggression's going to be more visible than everybody else's. So
your size and people were picking on you.
The numbers beat size.
You're right.
They didn't really pick on me. I got along with everybody. It was weird because like you see all these colors. I just go to any table I wanted to. Like,
that was me too. But the thing is when I grew up, like my high school, it was 36 kids in my class. 36. Mm-hmm. One black kid. One black lady, Gracia High, beautiful lady. God rest her soul. She actually passed away recently. And it was just so weird, right? Because we were raised together, all of us, right? And Gracia as well. We didn't see color until color was pointed out to us.
Well, I did have instances where like they were kind of being racist later, like, oh, Indian boy, something, and then be like some other people like, hey man, who cares? You know, people, you're being racist. You're black. We don't like being racist to us, so why are we doing that? You know, and people were sticking up for people and stuff. So that was like one of the things I seen that was beautiful. So, but if there was like more of those kids that were like thought the same way, where they were like, fuck white people type stuff, or Mexicans or something, then
let me just say something fairly profound, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone. But unless you're in that upper 1% of all the wealthiest, we're all in a mixing pot, you guys. Yeah. Like, these guys call the shots. We are, you know, we're gonna slave away.
It was like that Theo Von joke that he told. He was like, because he was grew up very poor, and then there was diversity there where they had black kids too in his neighborhood, and he was like, they're like, oh, you're so white and you did this to us. He's like, man, dog, why would I do that to you and move right next door? Are we gonna share this plum or what? You know,
right. I don't know. You know, the bottom. You know, so single mom of 4 kids growing up in rural North Dakota. I mean, the black girl had a dad. We didn't. We were actually worse off than she was because her dad was actually contributing and blah, 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 and he was respectful in the society. Mm-hmm. We just had a single mom, and everybody would tell us, your mom's a whore, your mom's this, your mom's that. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it's funny. You can't just look at, you know, I can't shorten the neck on a giraffe and call it a horse.
Right.
Can I do that? I mean, no. Right? The bottom line is you are what you are. You're going to come into a situation, you're there, you got to make the best of it, right?
Don't make somebody else's life a living hell. So.
No, man. Bullies killed me, man. And I got to tell you, I bullied a couple of kids until I got a little bit older, and then I was like, what am I doing?
Right,
but that was my background. Yeah. Like, I had been told I wasn't worth anything, and so my worth was standing over somebody else and saying, I'm better than you.
And then you realize, you're like, why am I making somebody feel that same shitty way that I know I hated feeling? You know, stuff like that.
I think I'm better than him. That motherfucker's going home and actually playing Nintendo tonight, or possibly Atari with my age. The bottom line, he had shit. I didn't. And so for some reason, I felt like I had to exert some power over him to show him I'm not below you. I don't know. I think kids nowadays need to understand, and I think they're getting there. I mean, you heard what I said at work the other day. Everyone just needs to continue fucking everybody so we're all the same color eventually.
Right. Well, I heard like Bemidji High School had like a race issue, but you talk to some of these younger people that went there and they're like, no, we don't. That's almost non-existent, you know, with like Native Americans being there at the school, because even at like Cass Lake Bena there, they talk about like the times when that school was racist, and that's on the reservation. You know what I mean?
So in your opinion, so if you get two groups. Let's say that they're completely segregated, right? So let's say a Native American group and a white group. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle, you have a mixture of both. Mm-hmm. Where do you think the most racism happens?
Probably it's right there in the mixture.
See, my opinion is these guys start to learn how to get along, right? But out here, they haven't had the experience of one or the other, and so they always just hear the stories, and they always make assumptions based on nothing they've ever lived. Out here, they don't have the experience. Here, this is where we're going to heal. This is where we're going to mend. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, like I said, I mean, the racism isn't... Yeah, you're going to have direct racism, right? Yeah. But out here, you're going to hate with no reason, right? Yeah. So get them inside.
Well, it's a lot of it comes down to fear too. You know what I mean?
It does.
Because I went to this all native school too, Heart of the Earth at the time, and it was like I said, mostly African or Native Americans. So almost entirely, there was like a couple African American kids, but they would. It was almost out of fear, and like because their parents raised them to be scared or like, hey man, whenever you're in numbers, fuck those people up type stuff, you know?
Right.
So, or these people did this to my uncle or, you know, stuff like that. So I guess it's kind of a retaliation mindset and stuff like that too. So,
you know what? Here's the thing. So, Cheech Marin, Cheech and Chong, right? Cheech Marin made probably one of the most profound statements I've ever heard in my life. I looked it up because wasn't sure because I was like, wow, that's pretty profound. I mean, Cheech Marin, come on, man, tells dick jokes all the time. So, but what I found was he was in an interview, and the person said, "How do you feel about America being a melting pot?" Have I told you this? They asked him, "How do you feel about America being a melting pot?" And Cheech Marin said, "America's not a melting pot. It's a tossed salad." Right? He says, we're going to throw everything in a bowl. A tomato is still a tomato. An onion is still an onion. Lettuce is still lettuce. But we're figuring out a way to blend, right? To make everything better.
Yep.
Right? But a melting pot, we are not. We're not all becoming the same thing. We still have individual identities.
Because nothing's the same. So.
Right. And that's my fear, right? So you got your group out here, your group out here. Nobody knows what's going on. It's the group in the middle who have actually merged that will learn to get along, that will solve the issue of difference.
Yeah. And then, I mean, because you don't really find any full-blooded people anymore anyways, you know? So.
No, I'm part.
That helps a lot.
I'm part donkey. I don't know.
Right? I think... With education becoming more widespread, obviously, you know, thank God for that.
Yeah, but kids are getting way more open to things than we ever were, right?
Well,
I mean, they're
stuff, so.
forging the way. I mean, my daughter all the time, I'll say something, and she looks at me and is like, "Dad, what'd I say?" You know, like she's like, "You can't say that." I didn't know, but I mean, if you even think about going back to our grandparents and their parents, like. Certain things they said.
Yeah,
my grandmother. There are a couple moments where I was just like,
"Oh man,
Grandma."
we had one of my best friends over, and he was African American. You tell he's just looks like an African American kid. And my grandma, she was a Korean lady. She come from Korea and stuff like that, but. He comes, stays the night, and for whatever reason, she doesn't like him. And it was his skin color. he eats some cereal in the morning. He's like our best friend, you know, at this time too. And she's like, "You're costing too much money." And like she goes to our other buddy's house that she thought was his dad because he was African American. She didn't know any better, right? And she was like, gonna go tell him to get his kid. And it was my other buddies who. They were light skinned because they were mixed, you know, so they took on more of the pigmentation of white kids. So she thought they were cool. So she was always trying to feed them and stuff. So she was always nice to white people.
Yeah, super. But so I get this because two of my best friends in my life, Fred Leap's mom was Korean. I remember going over to their house and they would have, instead of like chips and salsa, they would eat these like full on fish with like hot sauce.
Yep.
I don't know, but they would do that. And then Les Peterson, his mom, Mama San, one of my favorite people in the world. She used to call me the kimchi monster because every time I came over, I would make a mess. I mean, I love Korean food like crazy. I would make a fucking mess of the kitchen. Like I had rice everywhere, and because usually it was a drunken thing when I was drinking. But it was the sweetest lady in the world. But I got to tell you, Korean women, older Korean women in general, they give no fucks. They're going to tell you how it is. Where it is right now, you're gonna do it right, and I always respected the shit out of that. She was both of them were fantastic ladies, you know. And one's still alive, the other one just passed away a couple of years ago. But
sorry for their loss.
Yeah.
My grandma, she just passed away, 2 recipes, but it was like that's how exactly how she was. Yeah. But one good thing, like when growing up and eating, like made sure you always had food on your plate and stuff like that. Always rice.
Oh,
they love their rice.
Oh, I shit you not, man. That was the greatest thing about going over to Les's after a bar, like a drunk, because nothing fills you up better than white rice.
Hell yeah.
You know, so you go in and there's like a rice cooker, like a 2-gallon rice cooker. I'm like, I've never seen anything this size. You open it up and it's like the lights of God come out of it when you're drunk, and you just scoop in, and then inside you got a 1-gallon jar of fresh kimchi. We going to town, baby.
And then I'll get up and just like out of nowhere just start cooking. Like, what are you cooking, Grandma? Grandma make something good.
I realized it was like a Korean cabbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it explains the gas. I can tell you that much.
Fermentation, man.
My God. Beautiful, though. It's just fantastic stuff. Everyone's got to be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Everyone does. I don't care if you're 2 Korean ladies in the same house. You may hate each other because one person likes soap operas and the other one doesn't. But do we get racist over soap operas?
No.
I hope not.
Hope not.
But, I mean, they say that World War II was one of the hardest wars to fight. Mm-hmm. Why?
Was that the Koreans, or not the Koreans, but Japanese, or what?
Well, the Japanese side was fine. Mm-hmm. World War II was so hard to fight because the Germans looked like the U.S. people. We nobody knew, right?
Yeah.
Right? So easy to put hate on something that's different, not something that's the same, right? So when you're running out there, you're like, what? Oh, man, looks like my cousin.
Different color uniform and stuff, dude. So. Do you speak English?
Right? It's just nobody trusted anyone. Everyone hated each other. You know, I mean, that, in my opinion, that's pure hate. If you hate someone and they look exactly the same as you, right? Yeah. That's pure hate. Like, if I had a twin brother and I'm like, I hate you. And he's like, why? I don't know. We're like exactly the same, but I hate you. That's pure hate. But if it's someone who looks different than you, and you can actually form a reason, why is this happening, right? I don't know. You can't just
because our country told us to type shit. So.
Yeah, you read about North Korea and how they're like, we're going to teach our kids at a young age, anyone who's not us, we hate them. Mm-hmm. You know. Yeah,
they keep them uneducated. They don't feed them and stuff like that. You gotta, if you don't get educated, it'll keep you dumb and it'll keep you under somebody else's rule, So it should be a great thing, especially, for us. We should be able to see that more,
Super true.
Like we wouldn't have any of these opportunities without our government educating us. So at least they're not oppressing us. So. To an extent, I suppose.
There's some stuff still going on. I mean, there really is.
Absolutely.
But time will tell. Time doesn't heal all. Mm-hmm. We're going to heal in certain aspects and probably break in others. It's the way it works.
But like a lot of these people that do make it out, man, they have to put forth a lot of work and a lot of effort too.
Super respect to that. Super respect.
Yeah.
Man, I met people in my life who they made it out, they did their thing, but they were fucking assholes. Mm-hmm. They really were. After they got out, super judgy. Like, if you do this, you're a piece of shit. And I'm like, wait a minute. 3 years ago, you were a piece of shit. Right. Yeah, but I got out. I get it. But do you understand that telling someone repeatedly they're a piece of shit does not help them get out of the situation they're in?
Right.
Someone's got to lift them. Somebody lifted you. Now it's your turn.
Yeah.
Lift
Who's
someone.
Arnold Schwarzenegger? What do you say? You can't make it alone.
Can't believe you just said the N-word.
That's true, though. You know.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do it alone.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier if you're helping encourage people. So help them steer the way, kind of, I guess. So be like, oh, this person's having a hard time as a parent. Hey, here goes a couple tips. But a lot of times they got to ask, because sometimes you just tell them, they're not going to listen. So
it takes a village.
Yep, absolutely.
It does. It does.
That's why I'm always asking you guys for some advice too. Sometimes, so
more spankings.
More spankings.
More spankings. No.
Benji.
No. It wasn't about Benji. It was about your wife. You just said, I said more spankings. No. I mean, we gotta. Education isn't all just had in books, heard or seen. You have people around you all the time that have different experiences. Ask, learn, do the right thing. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Tribal knowledge is great. It's fantastic, right? People who have been around a while, they've been doing the same thing forever. How do you do this, right? The 92-year-old couple that's still married, right? How are you still married? How did that work, right? And you may not want to hear the answer they have. I mean, Dane Cook did a joke about two people dressed the exact same in Central Park. They're like 80 years old, and he walked up and he said, "Excuse me, you guys a couple?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we're a couple." And he said, "Oh really? How long have you been married?" And they're like 60 years. And he said, "Well, what's the secret to be married 60 years?" And the lady said, "Every day you have kindness in your heart, and you always have to forgive and love the person you made the choice to be with." And then she walked away, and the old man grabbed him and said, "Cheat." Right? I mean, the bottom line is that there's so many different things out there. Tribal knowledge. Get to know the people, ask them the questions, hear them out.
Absolutely. Because if they, it's better to hear from somebody else than to go and experience some bullshit too. So.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Walk into a place you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
I experienced it 2 weeks ago at the wedding I went to up on War Road. I mean, I was dressed to the nines, how I do the Irish, the cap and the vest and the whole 9 yards. I walk into this like little redneck bar, and I swear to God, the record player went, and everyone stared at me, and it was just the weirdest thing. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Right.
Wow. And everyone in there was white, including me. Like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Who's this asshole coming in here, Should have dressed casually,
he looks like he's part of the 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
This rich bastard.
Bastard. I have 42 cents to my name. Right. I'm about to buy whatever shot comes out of the fucking mat on the rail. That's what I'm about to buy.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you stopping by, though, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Do you got any shout outs or anything you want to do?
Oh, shout out to the Gravy Nail.
That's
you do that all the time. It's a podcast that me and Negligence, or Mr. Matty, like to do on a regular basis. I want to shout back at Cloud Slayer 53. Amazing stuff. I mean, anyone who's listening, there's always a storyline to it. My mom for giving birth to me. Mm-hmm. My dad for providing semen. I mean, there's a whole lot of Kayla for making sure that I'm dressed well. Mm-hmm. And then also, she didn't dress me today, but also like letting me be in her house. My kids for keeping me straight and making sure that I know that if I fuck up, they're going to be there to tell me about it until I die, because they're going to live longer than me.
Oh, yeah.
And also my dad, who happens to be your neighbor.
Yeah,
which
next
is
door neighbor.
Incredible guy.
Oh, yeah.
Teaches me a lot of stuff. Stuff to do and stuff not to do.
Hell yeah. If you guys like Eric here and their content, I always recommend the Gravy Nail. I'll have their description down below. Hit me up with some comments and any kind of things you guys like to see in the future. And it was a great one.
It's
Appreciate
great,
you, brother.
Thanks, man.
All right.